Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey! Yeah! Happy Friday! I just said to Bull and Earl, just on time. Tomorrow's the first day of summer, and it looks like it's finally arrived. It's supposed to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
Hot. Heat end of season in the 110s. Middle of next week. I'm here for it though. I'm fine with that. Look at the beautiful shot of downtown Cleveland. My only regret is that the Guardians aren't in town this weekend.
No.
Yeah,
Be a great weekend for ball at the park.
It is a nice weekend. The weather this week has been terrible. There's been so much rain.
This whole spring.
It has been. Now, I don't mind the temperatures. I mean, to me, I'll take, I want
like
the
it
San
cooler.
Diego weather.
Yeah, sunny and 75.
Right. But I'll take 95 over 25.
Yeah,
definitely do that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd the ball team do? I haven't seen you in weeks.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 games left in the regular season.
Okay. How we doing?
We don't have a great record.
No, rough year.
It's been a rough year, but
Your son's tearing it up, right?
he's doing great. He's hitting over 500, and he hits it hard every time. Just about every year.
Do you have any time this summer to maybe hit the Guardians? I think they could use
We're
the
working
stick
on
right
a
now.
contract.
All right, good. They could use the stick.
Yeah, it's cool. There's only been 4. Last year there were a lot of home runs hit because our older group was really good, and this year it wasn't the same. And there's only been 4 home runs hit out of the park, and Aaron has one of the 4. So
Very nice.
Hopefully he'll hit another one before the end of the season. But
No feeling like that. Is there watching
It was
your son
amazing.
hit one over the fence?
It was
It's
amazing.
just like,
I know you weren't here when I talked about it. I was coaching first,
Yeah.
and he was so excited that he hit it out. He was jumping up and down on his way to first, and he missed first base.
Happens
so
a
I have
lot.
to call him back.
that happens a lot, Bull. Especially on that first one. They're they're so excited and surprised all together.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's having a
But
good
we're
year.
a sleeper team in the playoffs because I have the best pitcher in the league, but he plays Little League and travel ball, so I haven't been able to use him a lot to pitch.
Will you be able to in the
we will
playoffs?
use him for game 1 of the playoffs.
He's
so.
like a secret weapon.
Yeah.
All right, deploy that secret weapon and make a
51
run.
strikeouts and 11 walks, this kid.
Oh, my goodness.
In 25 innings, which for Little League is
25.
ridiculous.
It's more than
Yeah.
2 an inning.
Yeah.
That's insane. Very good.
So we'll see.
All right, I see Ant is behind the glass. Where's Mike? Slacking?
I think he's in Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
Oh,
Right.
let me guess. A wedding.
No.
Actually
No.
not
Lake
in
House
this
vacation.
case.
He's actually
Yeah,
going
he's
to
just on
relax.
vacation.
Wow. I didn't know McNuggets took any days off,
I know,
except
I
for
yelled at him
weddings.
last night.
Yeah.
So is he off next week too?
No, just this weekend.
Yeah.
And then he'll be gone for a week next month. But that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, Anthony and Mike are at the age where a lot of your friends get married.
You're at weddings every weekend. Yeah.
Now Anthony
All
doesn't
my
have
friends-
to travel because they all live here, right?
All my friends want to elope. I'm not going to
Oh,
have to do
okay.
anything.
Well, that's
Oh, that's
easy.
It's a great plan.
Easy.
It's cheap. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's fast. It's over with.
But Mike's got friends all over the country because of his
Sure.
work life, so
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
got to do that. But
Yeah. Well, I hope he has fun down in Tennessee. What part of Tennessee did he go to? Do we know?
I have no idea.
All right. If he's in Nashville,
no clue.
I'll send him
Yeah,
some.
yeah.
I'll send him some suggestions. Earl, what's up on the panel? Good to see you again, bro.
Good to see you, man. Getting ready for some college visits. My daughter is going into her
right.
senior year, and
Track and field, right?
God.
she's track, but
Is she
it's
making
more
room
so
for Rutgers?
It's more so medical for her.
Oh, hey,
So
Rutgers got a
she-
great medical school.
She visited Ohio State already. She's going to Howard University. She's going to Spelman.
What's her event?
She 4x1.
4x1,
Relay.
and they did really well, right?
Yeah,
They made state
4x1
tournament,
relay.
didn't they?
Yeah, made state tournament.
What's
State
her one
semifinals.
split? Do you know?
Don't know it off the top of my
Yeah.
head. I'm
Wow.
more excited for her though with the medical thing though. Like she wants to be a heart surgeon, and
Good for
my daughter
her.
has the second highest GPA, in all of her class.
Oh my goodness!
That's
Like
awesome.
the girls, she's
Well,
doing
Ohio
good.
State's got a great medical school.
Yeah.
Rutgers has a great medical school.
Yeah, so
My son would look out for her if she wants to go to Rutgers.
She
now.
wants to go to a HBCU. She wants
All
to
right,
pledge.
very good. A lot of
she
options.
Wants to. She said Howard's medical program. She loves that.
Gosh, look at her
And then
go.
she wants to go to Ohio State after she finishes up at Howard.
I just said to Bull, there's no greater feeling than watch your son hit a ball over the fence. Athletically, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But academically, because my daughter, my firstborn, was not athletic at all, didn't like to participate in sports, but was fantastic in the classroom. And that's rewarding too, because in most cases, that's more, you're able to capitalize on that skill set a lot more than you are the sports skill set. Unless you're like extreme upper 1/10 of 1%. Right. So it's a good feeling. I know it's a fun time for you. Enjoy it. It's
18
great.
in January, graduated in May.
Oh boy.
My goodness. Wow. They grow up fast.
We're getting old.
Grow up fast. Yeah, we are. Okay, Ant, we've got a busy day. What do you have?
You guys want to get into some baseball?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, before we get into baseball, guys, I want to remind everybody that the NBA playoffs are in full swing. Game 7 coming up, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, before tip and live, with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have never had more ways to play smart and win big. So if you have a read on somebody who's heating up, why not back it up with the same game parlay? And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS to place your first $5 bet. If that $5 bet wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Yeah, very good. I know we're not talking about we don't have a topic in the menu today about Game 6 last night, but it's kind of what I expected. It's what the NBA was down on their knees praying for.
Yeah.
They desperately need all the commercial inventory they can get, and they got it with the 7th game. Does anybody think that it's not going to be OKC?
I think it is, but
I think it's going to be Indiana.
You do?
I mean, the last time it was a Game 7 was 9 years ago, and the winner of Game 6 went on the road to win Game 7.
Yeah.
It happened to be us.
Yeah.
Go figure. So,
all right.
I just think it's Indiana. I think that when it comes down to it, I think coaching is where they have the edge.
They definitely have a coaching edge.
So,
Rick Carlisle's playing expert-level chess. I still think OKC is going to win it because their home court might be as great as anybody's in the league. If Indiana goes into that building and wins a Game 7, kudos to them.
I mean, they've been an underdog in every series in the postseason.
Yes.
So kudos to them for getting to a Game 7, especially when their best player's hurt right now and struggling. He hit a big shot late, but he's been struggling. And I finally watched Game 6, to be honest. I didn't watch the first 5 games.
I'll be honest with you. I was kind of detached, too.
Yeah.
I've peeked in here and there.
Yeah.
Once the Cats were out,
Game 5 was better than 6.
Yeah, no, I know, but going into Game 6 yesterday, I said, not that I'm a basketball expert, but I was like, everything points to Oklahoma City because they're healthier and they're better. But Indiana's been so resilient that I bet you they push it to a Game 7, and they did. And
they did.
But yeah, Oklahoma City ultimately is the better team. They're at home, and Indiana's best player's hurt. So
I picked OKC in 6. That's why I was pulling for them last night. It's pretty obvious, though, that Indiana's crowd and their players, they came ready to go. I don't take anything away from their players. They came ready to go. So we got a Game 7.
Yeah.
And trust me when I tell you that makes a huge difference for rights holders, ABC, ESPN.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They spend hundreds of millions of dollars to get the broadcast rights to these games. The last thing they want to do is leave games on the table, and at least for this series, they got 7.
Yeah.
Ratings are down for these NBA finals, and they're down significantly, just like they were the regular
two small
season.
market teams.
Yeah, and this is what, Commissioner Silver's been saying. This is what we want. We want every market to have a chance.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I wish they'd say that in baseball.
I like it.
It'd be fun.
I know ratings and the people who you count the dollars, they don't like it, but parity is good for all sports. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the NFL, how it's always that one unexpected team that makes this run towards the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Nobody expected Indiana to be making a run towards the NBA championship.
The difference, I know Silver's trying to do what the NFL is doing. He's like, hey, look, they power through no matter what markets make the Super Bowl. If it's Green Bay or New Orleans, 2 of the smallest markets in pro sports, in the Super Bowl, they know they're still going to do a monster number. That's not the case in the NBA or Major League Baseball.
No,
we saw last year with the Yankees and Dodgers. Compare those kind of series to, if you were to get the Brewers and the Tigers or something along those lines. Yeah. And so, honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how the ratings
It's good for fans. It's
great for fans.
Fans want balance.
Can you imagine if we had that in baseball?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these middle of America markets that never have a chance would have a chance.
Well, I don't know about never have a chance.
I'd say never because Detroit.
I hear you.
But watch what happens this year. Detroit. I think Detroit's got the best team. I don't think they're going to win the World Series.
I think they got the best team in the American League. I don't think they have the best team.
I think they have the best team. I do.
Yeah.
Over 162 games.
I just think the top of the National League is better, so it's harder to get more wins.
It is, but only one can come out.
Right, that's true. I do think the Tigers are the best team in the American League by a decent margin.
Yeah, I do too.
Now, will they come out of the American League, or will the Yankees or somebody else take them?
Well, the Yankees are in a tailspin right now.
They are.
They can't
win.
win.
Did win yesterday, but
but finally,
won,
right?
Yeah.
All right, let's move it to the guards. They lost yesterday. That was a heartbreaker. I don't know what you thought of the way Vogt handled the pitchers in the 7th inning. I didn't love it.
I've had a lot of questions about him lately.
I have too, and after almost none last year, here and there, little things. But this year, a lot of eyebrow-raising situations, particularly lack of using the right pinch hitters, and all kinds of things.
Well, Manzardo on the bench so much lately, I don't understand that.
This guy's your young stud.
I thought they got lucky and they got out of it, but I thought the night before when they won the second game of that series, I thought he left Hunter Gaddis in too long.
Did too.
He thrown like 30 pitches.
I felt like he did too.
Yeah, so they got away with it because Quan made a couple of great plays. But
they win 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it was a
what's
good
your
series.
overall reaction to the whole series? What's your takeaway?
I mean, listen, before the series started, I was killing the Guardians on Monday because I really made a big point lately of their inability to just develop hitters. I mean, they're so elite at developing pitchers, and they're so inept at developing hitters, and nothing's changed based on 3 games. But they pitched great these last 3 days, and that's why they won, and that's how they're going to have to win. I mean, their only chance, obviously they're not a contender in the division, but their only chance to be a contender for a wild card is for their pitching to dominate. And it did this weekend. They pitched great. And let's face it, they faced 2 of the best pitchers in the National League.
You aren't kidding.
In Robbie Ray and Logan Webb on Monday and Wednesday.
And should have beat both of them.
Yeah, and they did great. And, Gavin Williams was fantastic yesterday. With him, it's just the consistency. Jay, as a pitcher, I'm curious. Like, to me, he nibbles too much at times. He did 100%. Yesterday. But there's too much nibbling. There's too much tinkering.
Yep,
I agree. Like, he's got great stuff. Just use your stuff.
Yep, I agree.
Trust
your stuff, and he has it. And, Bull, I'm glad you brought that up because yesterday there was something different about Gavin Williams.
Yeah.
And that was it. Normally, when you watch Gavin Williams pitch, he's at 95 pitches with 2 outs in the 5th.
I know. Drives you nuts.
It does drive you nuts.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he needed 100 to get through 6.
Yeah.
He was in some spots and worked out of them. He got a couple of big double plays.
Sure.
Which always helps the pitch count.
Yeah.
But Bull, he's still consistently going full to too many hitters.
I know.
And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He nibbles. He tries to get cute. Look, you've got an A-plus fastball. Come at guys.
Yeah.
Come at them. And yesterday he did that a couple times. One I can think of, high end of the zone. Guys aren't going to catch up to that.
Right.
He's got to stop trying to be a finesse pitcher. He's a power pitcher.
Yep.
Throw pitches in the zone, and it's imperative that you stretch out to 7 innings. Yesterday we were applauding him because he went 6 full.
Yeah.
That's still not what we want.
You want him to at least get into the 7th, and you got to help out the bullpen. We know the bullpen got worn down last year, and yes, his stuff is great. And you know what? I know the Guardians defense isn't quite as good as it's been the last couple of years, but it's still pretty good overall.
Yeah.
Like, trust your defense. You don't have to strike out every player.
Gabby yesterday had a ball hit right to him.
Yeah.
And the shortstop should never make an error on that play.
No. But
what's your takeaway? 2 wins against a very, very good and hot team.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're complaining, we're nitpicking, but what's your takeaway?
I mean, for me, after they were swept by the Mariners, I was kind of frustrated. Like, the season over, they're done. Then you turn around, and as to your point, you face 2 of the best pitchers in baseball right now, and you beat both of them. They dominate pitching. Hopefully you get Bieber back, and he can add to that. The Guardians are not going to consistently score runs. And so, to me, it was good just to see some dominant pitching and see them actually do enough to come back, to come away with some victories and get the series win. I thought Gabriel Arias was an unexpected hero, so
that Oppo shot?
Yeah, that kind of shocked me.
I got to tell you, Bull, you know how big that park is.
Oh, yeah, it's
For
huge.
him to get that out the opposite way, that's pure muscle.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Second game, Daniel Schneemann, he came through with some RBIs, and then yesterday it just wasn't enough. But I thought the pitching was really, really good in all 3 games, and hopefully they can sustain that. I just need to see more hitting. I need to see us be able to put some more.
Bull, I said this upstairs watching the game with some of the guys in sports. First inning, you get first and second against one of the best pitchers in the game. Runs and hits are going to be very, very hard to come by. They get first and second. They get a line shot hit to left. It seems like more this year than any year I can remember. Defenses are making incredible plays against the Guardians. It's 1 a night.
Yeah.
And that play was massive because he left his feet and he committed, and it was a great play.
Yeah.
But If he doesn't catch that ball, you likely get 2 runs.
Yeah, maybe 3.
And that's probably the difference in the game.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've seen some amazing defense. If you're watching, there's a center fielder for Oakland. Well, not Oakland anymore. The Athletics.
The A's.
Named Denzel Clark. Did you see that catch he made?
I've seen some of his highlights. It's unbelievable.
Oh, my God. He climbed the fence. I mean,
you know what? It reminds me a little bit of Jim Edmonds. Do you remember Edmonds?
Oh, yeah, with the backwards catch.
His
he
catch
was one of the all-time great defensives.
But he made a couple of wall scalers and all of that. But that kid is talented. We're going to see him for the next 3.
Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs, who the Guardians are going to play too, their center fielder.
God, how good
he made an incredible diving catch, flipped over, and got it back on his feet to throw the ball in.
Insane.
So we're seeing some amazing defense. Stephen Kwan in the was it the first game or the second game?
The quick throw to second base to
that play, and then in the 9th he caught that foul ball. They should have tagged up. They should have tried to score.
I don't know what they were thinking. It was a little shallow, but
but one out, you got it. Yeah,
you got to go for it.
You got to go for it.
If the game ends, the game ends. You ended aggressively at least.
Right, but from catching the ball to throwing it, I mean, his transition is so good. I've had a few people ask me because the Guardians lineup stinks so bad. They're like, could we move Kwan to center and it's easier to get a left fielder? And in theory, it is easier to get a left fielder.
I agree with that.
Kwan is so elite in left.
Yeah, he is.
And he's not, he'd be good in center, certainly very good.
I'm not sure he wouldn't be elite in center. Why do you think
Maybe
he
would? No, I'm not saying he wouldn't, but I know he's elite in left. I don't know that he would be elite in center.
Here's the thing. When you've got a guy that can run, can catch, and can throw.
He's got great instincts.
His instincts are incredible.
Yeah.
In center field, obviously, is the pivotal position to outfield defensively because you're covering more ground. You've got both gaps.
Yeah, right.
And you could put, not that I want his bat back in the lineup, but you could put a guy like Jhonkensy Noel in right field who's limited with his range with a big, speedy center fielder. Nolan Jones is not your prototypical center fielder.
No, not at all. I mean, listen.
Put him in left.
Forget Jhonkensy Noel. C.J. Kafis and Chase DeLauder should both be up right now.
Both of them. What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what are your guys saying? You do the lockdown or the Guardians,
Ultimate Guardians.
What are
So what we've heard about the reason they haven't called up Kafis, and this is crazy to me, but this is what we heard, that they were using him in the outfield because he's been a first baseman, right? So they've been playing him in right field, and they felt like he wasn't ready defensively. And I'm like, who cares?
Jhonkensy Noel wasn't a great defensive right fielder.
And Kafis killed it in Akron, went up to Columbus,
hit everywhere he's been.
And killed it in Columbus. He's hit everywhere he's been.
I don't get it, Bull.
And listen, it doesn't always translate to the majors. We get it, but why would you, when you have so many zeros in the lineup?
I know.
Why would you not give him a chance? And DeLauder, since he's come back, he's getting hotter and hotter. I'd call them both up right now.
I agree with you.
Let's go.
You know what? This would be radical.
Yeah.
But I'd put Kwan in center and put those guys as your corner outfielders, and let's see what happens.
And Manzardo should be playing every day. I don't understand why he gets in a slump, so you take him out of the lineup. You got 5 other guys.
You okay trading Santana?
I would definitely trade Santana to free up FX.
He's a piece, right?
And I know you're not going to get a ton back, but you get whatever. You get something. And Santana, he's fine. Those numbers are perfectly okay. But you need to get the young guys at bats here.
You have a good sense of recent history with the Guardians. This I saw yesterday, and this surprised me. Carlos Santana is number 11 all time on at-bats for the Cleveland Indians / Guardians.
Wow.
All time. He's 11th through his 3 stints here. You okay with trading him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you got to trade him while he's hot. I really didn't when we traded away Naylor and I knew we was getting Santana back. Familiar face, I was like, okay, maybe this is a PR move because I thought Josh Naylor was a better player. Santana been around the block for a while, man. I'm what 13 seasons here
15.
in Cleveland, 15 seasons here.
And I like him. I love him.
I just think you got to trade him. You got to get something for him. I mean, Bull is right. You got Kyle Manzardo, who has a bright future. I would play him at first base as David Fryer is working back from his injury. You keep him at DH. It just makes more sense. He's taking away at bats from young guys that have potential. Like guys like Angel Martinez, guys like Kyle Manzardo, those are guys that I think have something. And so I want to see them play way more than what they're playing. And if you got to do like Santana, who's hot right now, trade him while he's hot right now.
Get something for him.
Get something for him.
And if you don't want to do that, then I'd send David Fry to the minors. He's not hitting right now. He's struggling coming off the injury.
Then put Manzardo at DH.
Manzardo killed lefties the first couple of weeks of the season. Now they never play him against lefties. I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't get it at all. Let me ask you this, Bull.
Yeah.
This is really where the rubber meets the road question. Because this ultimately is what they're definitely discussing this in the offices. Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? You're 9.5 games behind the Tigers. Can we throw?
Right.
We don't have the wild card standings.
I seen it. They
It's
tied
a
for
big
fourth.
jumble.
There's 9 teams within like 3 or 4 games.
They tied for fourth though right now.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. Yeah, you're tied for fourth, but there's 9 teams within 3 games of the last spot.
Yeah, I don't.
9 teams.
If you had to bet today, do they make the playoffs? You say
I don't think they do now.
I don't either.
Here's the caveat. What is Shane Bieber? If Shane Bieber comes, here is the silver lining to all of this, Bull.
yes.
We've got a bunch of pitchers that are actually the same guy. Logan Allen, his last 2 starts, looks like he's a front of the rotation guy. Gavin Williams yesterday, front of the rotation guy. We've got pitchers that Bybee, front of the rotation guy. But they can also look like they're a 6th starter on some teams.
Yeah. I mean, I don't agree on Logan Allen.
His last 2 starts, Bull, he's been great.
Yeah, but he don't go past the 5th inning like ever. It seems like.
Oh, he did. I think the other day.
I don't know, but Gavin Williams and Bybee, I agree with. They have front of the rotation stuff, no doubt. When does Bieber come back? Is he? I mean, I'm assuming when he comes back, he's going to be great. That's just my assumption.
He always has been. We've never seen a subpar.
Right, and so that gives you a chance. I just look at the team and I'm like, the lineup's just too bad to overcome right now. I just, in an American League that is so, like the National League's kind of top heavy and bottom heavy, whereas the American League outside of Detroit is just kind of everybody's pretty good outside of the White Sox and the A's.
It's like
everybody
a 500
else is
league.
solid.
It's like a 500 league.
So,
everybody, even Tampa now. Tampa's got hot. Tampa, the Red Sox have got hot. Do you know that as of one day this week, they had 5 wins more than the A's, the Guardians.
Right.
Now, this is a team last year that was abysmal.
Right.
And they had 5 wins more. Now, I don't know how many Oakland has now.
They have 31.
Okay, so we have 6 wins more than the Oakland A's. Or the whatever A's.
And the A's had lost like 19 of 20 at one point.
Yeah. And here they are. They're not far from us. So I never advocate being sellers when you're within a stone's throw. I don't. But like you said, I'm looking at the lineup and I'm saying, okay, let's just project that you do get in the wild card race. What is this lineup going to do against anybody?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think that we have too many guys that we like enough to keep, but we don't dislike enough to trade or to just get rid of. Like Lane Thomas, David Fry. These are guys that I like. There's things I like about them. Daniel Schneemann. There's things I really like about all of them, but are they going to win you a pennant?
No, and they're also not going to get you much in a trade. None of those guys.
No, they're now, almost no value.
We got time to decide. We got a month, 5 weeks till the deadline, whatever. If the Guardians, if it's looking like they're out of it the last week of July, I would seriously consider trading Emmanuel Clase, and here's why.
I said that earlier this week.
Because they have that's their strength is their bullpen.
Yep,
There's a lot of good arms.
Cade Smith is ready to be a frontline starter right now.
And first of all, I don't believe that Clase's value is down. There's so many good teams.
I think it's down from its peak last year.
Sure, yes.
But it's not he doesn't have zero value.
No.
He's still he would be a hot commodity if we put him on the market.
Jay, I was looking through it because I was thinking about trades for Clase. There's 8 big market teams. Like almost any team would want him.
Right.
But
I know what you mean.
There's 8 big market teams
that could use him.
Really need him. The Yankees don't have a short thing at closer right now. The Cubs don't have a short thing at closer right now. The teams that spend, all these teams. But
do they have the prospects?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Half of those teams, there's 4 teams. I'm trying to remember which ones. I think it's the Cubs, the Rangers.
Are you throwing Detroit in there? Because I think Detroit would want
will,
Clase.
although it is harder to trade in the division.
I get that.
The Cubs, the Rangers, the Tigers, and one other team, I can't remember now which one, maybe the Dodgers, have top 8 farm systems.
Right.
Okay?
So you can get a haul from those guys.
Zach Meisel and I were talking about a Cubs Guardians trade.
Right.
Because the Cubs have something the Guardians could use. Power-hitting outfielders in the minors.
Boy, do we need
now, again, you never know. They're in the minors. Huh?
Plural? Like you said outfielders. They got more than one.
Oh, yeah. The Cubs have 7 of the top 100 prospects in baseball. They have an outfielder named Owen Cassie, who's a big-time power hitter.
Where is he?
He's playing in AAA.
Triple.
Like, he's probably ready to play in the majors, but the Cubs are loaded in the outfield. They got nowhere. He wouldn't play if they called him up.
We'll take him off your hands.
They also have a catcher. Now, the only thing I worried about with this guy, his name is Moises Ballesteros. Young guy. He's in AAA, younger than the average player there. He's a hitting machine.
What are we talking, 20, 21?
I can't remember exactly how old he is.
Early
He's a hitting
20s.
machine. My only concern about him is I don't know if he can last at catcher. He might end up being a DH because he's kind of pudgy.
Yeah.
He looks a little physically like Alejandro Kirk of the Blue Jays.
Hey,
he's a little taller, but like Alejandro Kirk, he's a hitting machine.
If you can hit, we need a hitting catcher.
And so they have a hitting second an infielder. He can play anywhere in the infield. Named James Triantos, who was, I believe, their first-round pick a few years ago. So the Cubs have all these prospects,
Are the
and
Cubs
they need a
willing
closer.
to part ways with these guys? Though?
Absolutely, I think so. They traded for Kyle Tucker in the offseason.
Yeah.
He's a free agent at the end of the year. You got to go for it.
So they're going
now.
in. They're in.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
And what do they need? The most. The Cubs need pitching.
They need a pitcher.
They got a lineup. They got plenty of hitters.
Yeah, I would be all for it, Bull. And normally, like I said, I'm pretty bullish. I don't love the idea of being a seller, especially when you are in. They're what?
Right.
A game out from the last wild card.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. I wouldn't do it today unless the trade was unless they blew you away with an offer.
Right.
But last week of July, if they're 2 games under 500, 3 games under 500, 4 out of a wild card, 13 out of the division,
and especially if there's 8 teams going for those 3 wild card spots,
that builds up the price.
It does.
And
No.
Yes.
So I'm saying 8 teams going for the wild card builds up the reason to be a seller,
and builds up the price on the because nobody else is trading somebody like Class A.
No, there isn't another Class A,
no.
and here's the beauty of that.
Yeah.
Normally there's 2 or 3 teams that are in position that have the need for what you have.
Right.
If there's 7 or 8,
absolutely,
you're right. You call all 8, and you're taking the best offer by the last day of the trading deadline.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got. Give me
you
the
don't
best
think
shot.
the Dodgers would want to get Class A?
Gosh. How's the Dodgers farm system, though?
Oh, it's great.
It is?
They're ridiculous.
God.
They're the best organization because they spend crazy and they develop great.
Yeah,
they got all these prospects. They got a catcher who's their backup right now, named Dalton Rushing, who's a top prospect. He's their backup in the majors because their starting catcher's so good, but they wanted to call him up anyway.
Well, we have Hedges and Bo Naylor. We don't need
a catcher, you know? Oh, my God.
Wow. One final thought. I said this on Monday, and I'm going to say it again because I didn't know you were going to be here, and I love doing the baseball talk with you, and I'm sorry, Earl. I know you feel like you're watching a tennis match because you got 2 seam heads going bananas here. And then we got to move off this topic. But I had said Monday, after we kind of went through our, where are the Guardians, and this was after they'd been swept by Seattle.
Yeah.
I had said all of this, it sounds like we're dinging the players and the front office, and the front office deserves some heat this year.
They do, absolutely.
But I also want to say this. Shame on ownership.
Oh, 100%.
This is the lineup you've given us. You
There's
gave
no
this
excuse.
to Stephen Vogt and said, go get him. Meantime, the team that was where we are now to the Tigers last year, Detroit didn't just pass us. They absolutely blew past us.
That's right.
And now we have to watch them, a team that we beat in the first round of the playoffs last year in the wild card round, cruise to a division title. Now, all that being said, remember where Detroit was in July last year.
That's true.
They were sellers, and they pulled it together
they did.
And came within really one big hit of getting past the Guardians and playing the Yankees in the ALCS.
That's true. But I'll tell you this. One last thing. We all understand the system in baseball is not great.
Broken.
Right? It's
broken.
It needs to be fixed, and there's going to be a reckoning for that in Major League Baseball. I
Is
think.
there?
I believe so in the next couple of years.
There better be.
It's going to be bad for baseball in the short term because I think we may miss a whole season, which is terrible. But here's the thing. Even now, under the current system, nobody's asking Dolan to spend like the Yankees or the Mets or the Cubs or the Phillies.
That's unrealistic.
But can we ask them to spend like the Twins and the Brewers and the Cardinals? Absolutely. And they don't. And that's not right. I'm not asking for a $250 million payroll. It shouldn't be unreasonable for 130, 140, 150.
Give us 150.
I mean,
and we're not even at 100. Are we? I think we're under 100.
The Guardians' payroll is basically the same that it was in 2001. I think,
Wow.
And when you add in inflation, just say at 3% a year.
Yeah.
For 25 years.
Yes.
You're talking about a 75% inflation. So if it was $100 million then, it should be $175 million today.
That's right. I believe their payroll is $7 million more than it was in 2001, give or take.
God.
$7 million more. Like you said, it should be $75 million.
It should be. That's an indictment on one person.
Yes.
The guy writing the checks.
100%.
And I know a lot of fans, I talk to fans all the time about where you place in the blame. And we've got a topic, and I want to tease this.
Cool, I can't wait.
Because we've got a fantastic topic at the end of our YouTube show. If the Browns and the Guardians switched front offices and owners, so Haslam and his team would run the Guardians, and Dolan and his team would run the Browns, what would happen? I can't wait to hear you guys.
That is fast. It's a tough call.
It is a tough call. And you know what? At first I go, well, it would be a wash. But no, I don't think it would be a wash.
Okay.
I don't think it would be a wash at all.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. I think it's a great topic. Whoever came up with it, kudos, because it's a great topic. All right, you got to read, right?
Yeah, I got a quick read here before we get into some Cleveland Browns quarterback drama. If you haven't heard of them yet, guys, Buckeye State Credit Union is your local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it super easy to find one near you. If you can't get to a branch, no problem. We make banking super simple through digital banking. But what sets us apart? They make banking personal and convenient at Buckeye. Their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union. Your money simplified.
Very good. Man, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. I've talked a lot about this with folks upstairs, but I really haven't been on the panel since we found out that he got not 1, but 2 speeding tickets. The first one, 101, or no, the second one, 101 in a 60. That happened earlier this week in Strongsville. But then we found out after that, folks started digging around, looking at his driving record. He had one 11 days earlier where he was also more than 25 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's where it gets interesting because that's where it raises to the next level of offense, at 25 miles an hour over the speeding limit. And he's had 2 of them in the span of 11 days. I've talked to a lot of folks that are rangy on this thing. Some say this is a huge red flag. Some say it's a big deal. Some say, chill. Everybody's had a speeding ticket. Where are you guys?
Earl, what do you got?
I was kind of frustrated to see this thing be made out to be more than what it needed to be. He didn't kill anybody. You know, he wasn't drunk. He wasn't high off anything. You know, he complied with the officer. He did everything that typically happens 9 times out of 10 when you get pulled over by the cops. You get your ticket and you go home. I think these narratives and these pictures that's being painted of Shedeur Sanders because he was speeding once or twice, I think is being exaggerated. I think is damn near comical, so to speak. I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially in the city of Cleveland when we have covered players in this city who have done a whole lot worse than just speed on a highway. When I seen this news come out, I didn't tweet about it. I was mentioning a bunch of tweets saying that if it was Dylan Gabriel that I would have kind of had something to say. No, I wouldn't have. Truth of the matter is I've had speeding tickets. I've driven my car at 100 miles an hour before. And on a normal day, about 84, 86 is typically where I drive at on the highway. So how in the hell do I look like getting on social media or on camera saying, you know, you got awful because you were speeding?
But do you think there's a difference? Is there a difference between 101 and 85?
But here's the thing. I just think it's being overblown. Zach Edey, Memphis Grizzlies, right?
Yep.
News came out yesterday. He is facing a misdemeanor in Indiana, traffic infraction. Guess how fast he was driving? 101 miles per hour in 55, right? I'm not saying that. Is it a poor lapse in judgment? Yes. Okay, if we've done it before, you can cause serious harm to yourself or other people. Yeah. But like I seen somewhere on social media, should the Browns cut Shedeur Sanders because he got a ticket? Colin Cowherd, you know, a guy that was a big supporter. All of a sudden, he looks at Shedeur Sanders differently because he got a speeding ticket. Yeah. It's like, damn, that's all it takes is for this dude to get a speeding ticket, and now you're trying to wash your hands with him.
Does it matter that there were 2 in 11 days to you?
To me, no. I guess my only advice, honestly, to Shedeur would be a couple things. I'm from Cleveland. slow down in the suburbs. These
No
cops in the
kidding.
suburbs, they will pull you
He'll
off.
learn real quick about
But me personally,
Strongsville, yeah.
Strongsville's going to get you,
Personally,
man.
I would limit my interactions with police as much as I can, because the last thing that you want is to catch a bad cop on a bad day and something that's simple
Right.
turn into something major.
Yeah.
So like for that
Did you
reason
guys
and that
watch
reason
the
alone,
body
that's
cam?
it.
The whole
Yeah.
body cam?
Yeah.
Did you guys catch what I caught? And
He clocked somebody else at 92 and let him go.
No, it was the girl that was with him.
Yeah.
It was, so she was traveling with him. And he said, I'm going to cut your girl a break. And I immediately thought, wait a minute.
She go 92 miles per hour.
Why'd she get a break? 92 is 92. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's bigger than 65.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that at all. And when he said it, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Then he goes, they got a dash cam in my car. I got to write you the ticket. Well, you got the same dash cam for the girl that was doing 92.
Well, here's what was interesting to me, and I thought I heard this interaction. It was really hard to sort of make out what Shedeur was saying.
It was hard,
and
yeah.
you never got a shot of him. I don't
Yeah.
know why we didn't see his face. But what was interesting to me was, and I'll apologize in advance if I'm wrong on this, because I meant to go back and look at it again. When I saw it the first time, I was getting ready for the 5 o'clock show upstairs, and it was a pinch, and I had to just look at it and go. I believe there was a part in the conversation where Shedeur offered, basically, I call them get-out-of-jail-free cards. They're courtesy cards. They're given to you by area jurisdictions. It could be Ohio State Police. It could be sheriff's offices have offered them to me. And you sort of flash it when you get a ticket. And a lot of times they'll say, slow down. I know this because I've had one.
Yeah.
You got to show it first. He showed it later.
The officer said, well, yeah, you should have showed me that earlier. I already wrote the ticket. I can't rip it up now. That was interesting to me. It also made me question immediately, he's got one of those. He brought it up. How many times has he been let out of tickets that we don't know about? Maybe none. Where he showed that card. I know I've been let out of that when I show that card. It became an ethical thing a couple of years ago to have that and to use it, particularly if you're in the media. And so I just said, you know what? Yeah. I don't want to live in that fringe area. I cut mine up. My hands were shaking when I cut it. I like to drive fast. You guys know that. Last thing I'm going to do is come up here and kill someone for that. Yeah. I'll hold some of my fire on the thoughts, but I'm dying to hear what you think about this. Too big of an issue, overblown.
Yeah. So if the three options are big deal, little deal, no deal, I'm in little deal.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Right? That's how I feel about it.
That's where I am.
Earl talked about the narratives, and yes, I find that, and I've said this before, and this happens. So this is politics and sports right now. It's everybody's in their silo. Nobody listens to the other side. You're either on this team or that team, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we always defend our team, and we never defend the other team, and that's frustrating. And that's what's happened in the Shedeur Sanders situation.
Sure.
He's got his fan base, he's got his haters, and they don't want to hear they don't want to hear that most of us are kind of in the middle, and we might have some opinions this way and some opinions that way, but it's unacceptable, and we're hated by both sides.
Yeah.
So. This is my. I don't care about those narratives. That's not going to affect my judgment at all. So, it's bad judgment by him to do this.
Yes,
I've done it. I've driven over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Around the same speed he was going. It was bad judgment when I did it too.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean my judgment is always bad.
Yeah.
It means in that case I showed bad judgment. In these cases he showed bad judgment. I still drive fast. I don't do 100 anymore. I haven't done 100 in a long time, but when I was his age or a little older, I certainly did it a number of times. Now, especially at night, it probably was not a good idea. I've never driven that fast at night. It's less safe whatever. I'm just saying.
No.
It's less.
I think Earl and I are both laughing because both of us have.
Sure, and I get it, and but we'd have to admit it's less safe to drive that fast at night than during the day.
It's more of a lapse of judgment when you're doing it at night.
Absolutely. So did he show bad judgment here? Definitely. Does that mean that he has bad judgment overall? No, it doesn't mean that. It means in this case he's shown bad judgment. Hopefully he will learn it. Now, we have a clip. Can we play this clip real quick, Anthony? The ESPN Cleveland was at the David Njoku softball game.
Yeah.
And I was almost trending toward this being a no deal instead of a small deal, but this kind of put me back at a small deal because I didn't love the way he answered the question. If we could play that, Anthony.
I see what.
I know I'll be vibing, bro.
He's just a regular kid. Like, what's wrong with you?
I'm just a little boy.
He didn't do nothing wrong. I haven't seen anything wrong.
He's talking about overall in life. You know, I made some wrong choices personally, and I got owned up to him. I made some, not great choices.
He's saying that because he's an accountable person.
I learned
from the real people.
I learned.
He's not. He don't be doing it.
I learned.
I just didn't love the answer.
I
It's
don't
not
either.
that big a deal, but
I haven't seen that before.
yeah, I just didn't love that. It's like, take it a little more seriously. Again, I get it. He's a young man. He's not a kid. He's, I'm a little kid. No, you're not a kid.
Yeah.
You're an adult. And when we're young adults especially, most of us make some poor decisions along the way. I get it. I understand. I admit it. I've done it. I was once in a supermarket when I was 22 years old, and I bought a pound of ham, and I ate it while I walked through the supermarket. I didn't pay for it. I stole a pound of ham from a Wegmans in Brockport. I say 22. I was older than that. I was like 26.
Did you get caught?
No, I did not.
Wow, not
But
so
I-
good, brother.
So we've all
Interesting enough,
done.
the police are here right now.
Yeah,
for
right.
you,
They're
Bull.
coming to get me.
the Brockport
I
police
get
are
it, but
here.
like, take it. Just don't do it anymore. Just
Yeah.
let it. Don't give the haters that ammunition.
That was my disappointment, Bull.
Don't give it. Yeah.
That was my reaction. First
Yeah.
of all, I'm exactly where you were.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't love that clip, but that's
Yeah.
not going to take me from medium deal to a big deal.
No,
this
certainly
is not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not.
But it is a deal.
It's a deal. It's a deal.
And here's why. First of all, I don't want to say he cost himself, because that's not really fair either. The draft process cost him ballpark $10 million.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not hyperbole.
No.
Where he was slotted, number 2, and what he would have made had he been drafted number 2 compared to what he's being paid now, being drafted 144, is a canyon of money. At least $10 million by most estimates, perhaps more, with depending on how the contract goes. You get the extra year, all kinds of different things. That's your teaching moment. Now, I thought that was overly punitive and unfair to a kid who's not done anything wrong. He's not a problem. He's not societally, he's not a bad guy. In fact, by all accounts, those that I trust that have met him and talked to him tell me, Jay, this is a good kid. He's a good kid. Now, he's a fun-loving kid, and sometimes the adult world looks at fun-loving kids as bad kids. And maybe immature kids.
And maybe that's why you and I didn't like that comment a little bit.
Well, it is.
Because we're older.
We're older.
And he's just being silly.
And that's funny because I didn't.
You're not offended by it.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't even think it was a big deal at all. I just thought he was just
It's
joking around.
generational.
Yeah, I think it
it's
is.
generational.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're
yeah.
being the get off my lawn old man.
I think you're right.
Now, all that being said, I try to, when I feel like I'm doing that, I try to really self-inspect and say, am I being overly harsh? And no, overly harsh would be, oh my God, this is a huge deal. This is a big disappointment. No, it's not. It's a molehill. Don't try to make this a mountain. My disappointment was greater when I found out that he had one going 25 plus 11 days ago, 11 days prior.
Yeah, right.
So I'll promise you this, because I have somewhat of an idea of how Deion raised his kids. Very strict. You're gonna respect your mama. You're gonna respect authority. You're going to do things the right way. There's a way to do things, but we're gonna have fun, man. We're a fun-loving family. We're gonna do fun things, and people are from the outside are gonna misconstrue that. They're gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, "Look at these guys. What are they doing?" But all of that being said, the one thing I can assure you that Shedeur has heard from Pops hundreds of times: don't put stain on my name. Don't do it. That's not just your name. That's my name. And when you carry my name outside of this house, and you've heard you talk about this before, your actions stain my name. Don't do that. Don't do that, because this is the hand that feeds you. And it will also be the hand that will cut you off. And I believe that Deion raised his kids with some really tough love. And I think in general, he was a very good father. And I like a lot of his principles. When I've heard him talk about kids and youth and how he treats them and how he raised his kids, I have a lot of respect for that. Very similar to the way I raised my kids. That being said, he just went through a process that cost him $10 million, in large part over a misperception. I don't think that was fair for him. So you would think that he would say, man, I haven't done anything wrong, and look how society is quick to throw darts at me.
Right.
I have to mind my P's and mind my Q's and dot my I's and cross my T's more than everybody else. Is that fair? No. Sometimes life isn't fair. You're Deion Sanders' kid. The spotlight is hot on you.
Yeah. And
especially now.
And he's done all of those things at camp.
Yes.
He's done it. He was
model citizen.
He was perfect.
Every interview that he gave, I'm like, that's exactly what I want to hear.
He was working hard. He was saying the right things. He was doing the right things.
Now, will this impact ultimately?
No.
No.
Yeah,
it will have. Someone asked me after word came out of the second one. Someone said, "Do you think this is going to impact how the Browns look at him on the?" No. He made a mistake. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him a kid. Because to me, at 22, 23, you are still a kid. I look back at myself when I was 23, I had the maturity of a 16-year-old. Some of the decisions that I made, I'm embarrassed about. Embarrassed.
Of course.
But, they say the part of the male brain that does the math on risk-reward isn't fully developed until some people 25 or later.
Yeah.
And I know mine was later.
They say for men, it's like 30, 35.
Well, they say the last part of the developmental brain for the man is 25, but it can be later. So it can creep into the 30s. Look, he didn't rob a bank.
He wasn't drunk.
He didn't hit a woman.
Yeah.
He wasn't drunk.
Right.
He was recklessly driving.
That's what part of what triggered me when I saw some of enormous mistake and, how huge this was, and hopefully he learns this massive lesson from it.
Do you think, though, that the reason that video disturbs me is I don't think he's learned anything. He's laughing about it.
But see, to me, this is where it takes me back to where I was in management classes, because it teaches you how to communicate, per generation and things like that. And there is a communication gap, no disrespect, but between guys your age and probably guys my age. Something like when I seen that. Girl. But I'm just saying, when I seen that video of his response, it didn't even seem like somebody asked him a real question. It just seemed like somebody.
It was a conversation, wasn't
it? Just seemed like he was having a conversation with one of his homies.
Good point.
And somebody just happened to be listening in.
He wasn't in a formal interview setting. I didn't think.
Something that you said, right? Because I put myself in his shoes. I sped a lot, and it was always, Earl, you need to slow down. Earl, you need to turn that music down. And my father used to always have these conversations. You need to slow down. You can kill yourself. You can kill somebody. You need to turn that music down. And then I noticed some of these conversations will turn into other things that didn't have nothing to do with the actual infraction. And so I get your point. What you're saying is you just hope that
it's the perception.
As a young man, the perception, but you just continue to make better choices. But at 23 years old, it's unfair to think he has it all figured out. He probably feels invincible. Every single body sitting on this panel right now felt invincible at 23. I'm 37 and I still feel invincible. So to me, it's just like I said, for me, it's one of those things. Is it a poor lapse in judgment? Absolutely. Every time I get in my car and I leave here and I put my car at 86 miles an hour on I-90, that's a poor lapse in judgment.
Yeah.
But do I do it 9 times out of 10? Yes, I'm not going to lie. And it's the whole speeding at night thing. It makes it even worse, I guess, to your point, because I got a ticket by Bratnall. I think this was 2018. He got me for 92 and a 60.
Ooh, on 90?
Yeah, on 90.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going into the Bratnall zone, but I'm not slowing down because
and they patrol too a lot.
It's late at night, so I'm not thinking a poor lapse in judgment. It's late at night. It ain't that much traffic. The cops ain't out here. They ain't thinking about me.
Right. And
I'm just floating, right? And I'm pretty sure, like, it's young people watching the show in the chat. You young. It's late at night. You got the music up, your favorite song. You probably listening to Young Dolph. Big X, he just
Life
cruising.
Life is good.
Going with the flow of traffic, and you just happen to be the one on the meter gun. That's all.
Yeah, it gets you. One last thing that I want to make, and if you guys want to make a final point, that's fine. I believe, again, not a huge deal. It's not going to affect the trajectory of his career and all of that. I'll repeat a line from an officer who let me off of it. He clocked me at 90. I was living in Tampa, and there's a crosstown expressway. And it basically was a road that you only took when you were leaving downtown and you were going to the suburbs. And it was wide lanes, a lot of traffic, and they were flying. I was coming home from doing an 11 o'clock sportscast, which usually I would go 85, 90. I was the only guy on the road. Mm-hmm. No one's leaving downtown going to the suburbs.
That fresh pavement.
And you know what? and I had a car that could do it.
Jay said.
And I looked in front of me and I looked behind me, and a lot of times I'm like, let's see what we got.
Yeah.
And there was an underpass, an overpass, bridge where they would hide. And I would always slow down coming up to that, and I would make sure I didn't see lights. Because a lot of times your headlights would hit theirs and they would reflect. And then I would slow down even more. And when I say slow down, I mean I would take it from like 90 down to 70. Mm-hmm. And then once I got through that area, then I could get right back up to 90 again. It was like a 10, 11-mile trip, and I could do it in like 7 minutes. You know? Well, on this particular night, I didn't see any lights because he was back further from where I could see. Mm-hmm. So I hit the gas again, and I went right back up to 90, and shoom, he pulls out right behind me, gumballs on, I could pull over. And here's what he said. I've had to cut bodies out of cars that weren't going as fast as you were going. And I know who you are. I know you're getting home from work. I understand all of this. I understand it. There's nobody on the road, all of the mental gymnastics that you do. Mm-hmm. But just think of this, and I have. Just think of this. You lose control. You tumble off the highway, over the guardrail. I don't want to have to go to your wife's house and ring your doorbell at midnight, get her out of bed, and have your kids wake up when she screams after I tell her you didn't make it. And that's bad. And then he said this, and this always stuck with me too. Or another scenario. There are cars on the highway. Someone doesn't see you going that fast and makes an unmarked lane change. Happens all the time.
Right, yeah.
You're going so fast, they don't see you. They swerve right into your path. You hit them, both cars go off the road, you survive, but this person dies. You're going to jail. Now your life is over, as you know it. Your public career, over. Your freedom, over. I don't know if anyone's ever had that talk with Shedeur Sanders, because it does seem like a harmless, victimless crime. I'm just driving fast. But things happen. Things happen. And it's a fact. You can look it up. Statistically, with each mile an hour you go faster, you increase the likelihood of an accident. And when you get to a certain threshold, it starts multiplying the increasing likelihood of a fatality. No one wants to deal with that. Just slow down.
I'll say this. He needs to slow down. I need to slow down.
We all do.
This probably won't be the last time that happens. I instantly rubbed my arm when you was telling that story. Well, this is my best friend. Only rest in peace tattoo I have on me. Ray Fresh, my friend Ray Sean. He died in a car accident 7 days after we got out of high school, 2006. This was June 13th, 2006. 18 years old. So we just celebrated, or just remembered, 19 years of him being deceased. Wow. So he's been dead longer than he's been alive. And I remember he was speeding, coming down a side street, and something clipped, car flipped over, hit a tree. My boy was 18 years old, and he looked every bit of 65 at his funeral. And so, like, yeah, like, you know, wow. But the point of me saying that is you would have thought I would have never sped again. But the truth is I'm human. And you still, like, time go on, you get past from that situation, and you think you cool. So, like, we just got to be realistic. We can sit here and talk about this all day. It ain't going to be his last speeding ticket.
Probably not.
It ain't going to be the last time that he put a car there. Just be careful.
Yeah.
We having this conversation, and we probably going to all jump out
and
off this show and drive fast as soon as we leave here. So
yeah, I would just say that I think he's better off having people around him tell him maybe we should, like, calm it down a little bit, rather than saying, if this was Dylan Gabriel, nobody would be saying anything in the media.
I hate that.
That's not helping anybody.
No, it doesn't.
I wouldn't have said nothing about Dylan either.
I would have.
I'm saying, but if people in his ear, if that's the response, like, oh, they're not going to pick on the white guy who says that, yeah, that's going to be true for some segment of the criticism base. Well, it's an unfortunate thing. But
what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Forget the color of it. The label you carry in the NFL when you're a rookie is your draft round.
Right, yeah.
That's a flashing sign that's over your head everywhere you go. Fifth round, fifth round, fifth round. Every pick you throw in practice, fifth round. Every touchdown you throw in practice, fifth round. I bring that up because decisions are going to be made. The last thing you want to do is have an off-field mistake be the thing that put the team over the top, that you're the odd man out.
Yeah.
Like, if Dylan Gabriel would have had that, I'd be saying the same thing about Dylan Gabriel. You just gave the Browns a reason to cut you if it's close. Don't do that.
I know for us here, we would say the same things. If it was any other player on the Browns, little deal. Same thing.
That's what I firmly believe that.
Outside of maybe Deontay Johnson because he's on his last straw. But
Or Miles.
again,
Miles can't speed again.
it's the label that you carry. But you know what? If it was Miles, we'd be like, well, he's Miles Garrett.
yeah, can't cut
What
him.
we're going to do, cut him?
No, you ain't going to
And,
cut
you know,
him.
punt
But it'd
God.
be a bigger deal.
Punt God.
God, yeah.
What other nickname? Has there ever been a quarterback God? Has there ever been a running back God?
No.
Not that we've dubbed it. This dude's nickname was Punt God.
By the way, you're right. By the way, does anybody think that Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Tom Brady have never driven 100 miles an hour?
Listen, I
Give me a break.
guarantee you they have.
Of course they have.
I guarantee
they
you
just haven't gotten
To me,
caught.
the big thing was 2 and 11 days.
Yeah.
Like now you have to drive the speed limit everywhere you go.
And
because if he gets the third one, it's a big deal.
By the way,
that's a big deal.
I
for
thought
me.
this was a good and thoughtful conversation, but I guarantee you, because of the polarization, you and I are going to be looked at as haters for this conversation, even though we said it was a little deal and we're way more lenient. But I
you
know
know
how
what I
people
always say,
work.
hate away, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Hate away.
I just think it's funny.
It's just one opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna filter it for
No, it
for
is
the
what it is. We
sake
give
of
honest opinions.
People
If
not
you don't
hating
like it,
my
you don't like
opinion.
it. Yeah.
It's my opinion. If this was Joe Flacco, what would your reaction be?
Exactly
if you
the
found out
same.
Joe Flacco got 2 speeding tickets in 11 days that were both plus 25?
And you know what? I might even be
I didn't know.
More
More
negative.
disappointed
because he's
You're
40 years old.
bro.
Yeah. It would either be the same or more negative. It certainly wouldn't be less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There was one guy that I didn't want to get 2 speeding tickets over 25 miles an hour in 11 days on this roster.
Hush. Move on.
And you know who that
All right, hey guys, we're talking
He didn't
Cavs
need it.
basketball real quick, but the NBA playoffs
need
are in
it.
full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have never had more ways to play smart and win big. If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with the same-game parlay? And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. If you head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet, if it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
We're going to the Cavs draft. And before we do that, I'll ask this question. If there was a line, Tyrese Halliburton hitting a game-winning shot to win the NBA championship, I would
bet it.
I would be interested in betting that.
Yeah, I bet that.
Because I'm sure the payoff would be huge.
Yeah, we're gonna
even
use
though he's
that-
done it 4 times in these playoffs.
Yep.
I would still say that the line would be massive because the likelihood that they would be in that situation, so many things would have to happen before that. But I would bet it because I'm not betting against that guy making a big shot in a big spot. Okay, Cavs
We should
draft.
keep this topic short because we want to get to that Browns.
I know we
Guardians
do. I know.
thing. Yeah,
So let's do this
Yeah.
real short. And I'll go first on
Yeah.
this. So it's the Cavs draft.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 second-round picks. And what are you looking for?
Prototype.
I plead ignorant. I know nothing about anybody coming out of this draft. It's not a top 5 pick.
So how they put the how the question was?
We don't want a name.
Yeah, how the
We want
question
type of
was.
player.
I want a
What-
tough guy.
archetype.
That was it.
Yes.
Okay, you want an
7, 8.
enforcer.
Yeah, I want a tough guy. I want someone that brings. He has to hate losing more than he loves winning.
Let's just build that guy between us 3. So
Yeah.
he's got to be a tough guy. I need
Hard-ass,
I need
tough
him
guy.
about 6'8". I need him 6'8", probably like 220.
The only thing I'll say, I mean, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But what are the odds that they're going to find some big tough guy in the second round as a rookie that's going to make a difference?
All right, so he's 6'8", he 220, and he tough. What else he need, boy?
He's probably
He has to
not
shoot
coming
threes.
from America.
He has to shoot threes like crazy.
Yeah, he's got to be a European guy because
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
want
agree.
Eastern
Players-
European block.
Yes, I agree.
Jokic style.
somebody
guy.
that just
Yes.
got out of a gulag or
But
something.
like, you know what? Honestly,
Yeah.
because it's just not my world anymore.
Yeah.
Now I watch the things that I really want to watch, and I cover and I dig deep on the things that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
And my interest level on the NBA when the Cavs are done falls to about 0.1%.
Oh yeah,
I don't care. I don't care,
honestly,
and I don't know.
If I didn't do sports for a living, I would only watch baseball and football.
Me too.
Those are the
I
only
wouldn't even
sports
watch.
I would
wouldn't even watch the NBA.
You'd watch college football.
I would watch college football. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I would
yeah,
only
you're
watch
right.
baseball in the NFL.
I used to look for me, college basketball used to be number 2.
Loved it.
Used to be number 2
Loved
for me.
it. And I got into it this year because St. John's was good.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't
know the players.
Even when I knew college basketball really well, I still wouldn't have known guys in the second round that well.
No. Yeah.
And, it's
but back in the day, when they played for 4 years.
Oh, you knew all the guys.
You got to know them. You got to see them for 4 years. You could make educated decisions on these guys.
Yeah.
Now they play 1 year, if that, and hell, I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? Neither do most of the NBA teams.
I think Draymond Green was the last real notable second-round pick. Like, you knew who he was when he played at Michigan State.
Yeah.
Like, as to your point, like, I can remember, guys like Mo Peterson when he played at college, Mateen Cleaves when he played at college. Like,
are you a Michigan State fan?
No, but those were
ripping off these Michigan State guys.
But at that time when I was really, like, loving
into it,
those are the guys you knew. You knew everybody from North Carolina. You knew everybody from Duke.
Kentucky, Indiana.
It's like they one and done. You don't know who any of these guys is. I'm just praying to the content gods like I was in October. And to tell you, we was upstairs like, man, the Browns, they need to draft Shedeur. For anything else, just content.
Yeah, right.
Man, LeBron need to wake up one day and say, I'm coming home again.
Content gold.
Listen.
Content gold.
Content gold.
Let me ask you guys.
Here's the best second round. Here's the best second round picks in the last decade.
Okay.
2014, Jokic. Do you believe that guy was drafted?
Yeah, that's a.
I mean, they scout better. The European leagues better now,
but back then it wasn't much of science.
He was the 41st pick in the draft. That's crazy. 2015, Montrezl Harrell.
Okay.
Not a bad player. 2016, Malcolm Brogdon, 36th pick in the draft. 2017, Dylan Brooks, who everybody hates. He's a tough guy.
You know what, though? These guys were commodity. We knew them.
I don't know. Did we or just
we did. No, now obviously Jokic. No, but the guys that played college that ended up being second round draft picks.
That's true.
If you were to list right now the likely second round draft picks, how many of them would any of us know?
I don't know if I'd know any of them.
Mikey would know all of them.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, well,
because that's his world.
2018, Jalen Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, and Bruce Brown. All
those are commodities.
2019, Daniel Gafford.
No.
2020, Xavier Tillman. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Do you know Xavier
I
Tillman?
don't
Anybody? 2021, Herb Jones, solid player.
Yep. Decent.
22, Andrew Nemhart.
Wow.
We know him.
Yeah, we do recently.
23, G.G. Jackson.
GG.
No. GG.
GG.
And that was, 2 years ago?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yo, speaking of second round picks, remember a former second round pick that we had, 2007? I think
Amani
he had
Bates?
No, not Imani. 36-point game in Game 6. I know LeBron got us to the finals.
Oh, well, you know what, though?
That was booby bad.
But those kind of guys, he was that kind of guy. He was a micro, he might catch fire.
Yeah, when Booby caught fire that game, it was crazy.
And Booby could do that. But, in general, your finds in the second round, Jokic is going to go down as an all-time great. But I don't think
Manu Ginobili was a second round pick.
I know. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ginobili,
and they had that was at a time when they had a lot of other pieces.
Yeah.
So, he came into a team that was ready to win and was winning, and you get a guy. That's why if the Cavs could get a guy in the second round, that is noteworthy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, last year they took Tyson.
Tyson was in the first.
Oh, he was in the first round. That's
he
right.
was.
Right.
He was in the first round.
But he, first round.
He can play.
First round pick.
He might be able to be an impact
play.
play.
I like
get more minutes this year.
Yeah, I definitely like him. All right, let's pivot to that Browns guards topic because it's fantastic. It's going to take us to the end of the show for sure.
Yeah, guys, before we do that, I want to remind everybody about Buckeye State Credit Union. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in the Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it super easy to find one near you. If you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make it super easy with digital banking. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that you do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union. Your money simplified.
All right, this is a great topic. We touched on it a little bit ago. I just teased it to make sure that you guys stuck around to listen to it because it's going to be fascinating. So Jimmy Haslam sells the Browns to Paul Dolan, And part of the deal is Haslam's going to bring his crew, J-Dub, the boys, the group. They're going to go to the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. And Dolan's going to bring his brain trust, his crew, Cherney,
Vote.
And they're going to Brook Park, or whenever this deal happens. They're going to Cleveland Brown Stadium. What happens? Who wins first?
Believe it or not, even though I think he's an absolutely horrendous owner, I'm going to say the Guardians. Because money talks in baseball to some degree, right? It's not you could spend a lot of money and still lose. You could be a bad team.
He's doing that now.
Exactly. But in baseball, he would have one of the 5-8 highest payrolls in the league, I assume. And that's a big advantage. And not that all those teams do well, but many of them do.
He could be the Mets.
And the biggest caveat here is Paul DePodesta actually knows baseball. Now,
I didn't think about that angle.
You could argue that he was overrated in baseball.
He was.
Fair.
Yeah.
But he knows baseball better than football.
Yeah, he did.
He was if nothing else,
he never won anything.
No, but he was an adequate executive in baseball.
Where
in football,
he was most noteworthy for Moneyball.
Yes.
That's it. He's still riding that reputation.
Right. But he wasn't you wouldn't look at him as a terrible. Yes, he ultimately didn't win anything, but he was I would say an adequate MLB executive.
Only a few of his teams made the playoffs.
Right. But his football, so far he's been horrible at football. So
that much we'll agree on.
I think the money would give you the edge if they switched. And Dolan. Now, listen, you have to spend a certain amount, right? Mm-hmm. Mike Brown is considered a cheap owner in Cincinnati, but he still actually he's been a middle-of-the-pack spender in terms of actual money spent this decade. So I think Dolan would be kind of like a Mike Brown really he would be exactly like, he's the Mike Brown of baseball.
Yeah.
He hires people and lets them, he kind of stays out of their way. Mike Brown lets the coaches
Good people, too.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part. But he doesn't go over the top to spend in general.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I think, so that's why I'd go with the Guardians.
Okay. I'm going with the Guardians too to win the World Series first over the Browns winning the Super Bowl. I think for those very reasons, you got Paul DePodesta and you got Andrew Berry, analytic guys sitting in your front office. You got Jimmy Haslam, who's going to spend whatever it takes to have a competent pitching staff and a competent roster, and everybody knows he loves big names. And then you got Kevin Stefanski, who's going to be coaching everybody. Everybody loves coach. Yeah. 2-time coach of the year, so I think they'll get it done. And then you just flip it around on the other side. I guess the Dolans will be able to spend enough. I would trust Chris Antonetti and his guys to draft the right players, unlike the Browns. Now they'll drive good players that don't have big names. We like names on the Browns, right?
Sure.
We got to go get the big names.
Yeah, we need OBJ. Bring him back now. The streets would go nuts if we brought him back today.
The Browns will have a whole bunch of players. We'd be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
But they'll be good every week, just not good enough to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, wow, I'm disappointed in you guys. You got this wrong.
Oh.
What?
Oh, yeah, you both got it wrong.
All right, I want to hear this.
And I kind of thought that you were first were going to go where I went.
Nope.
By the way, the DePodesta line, that actually would keep the Guardians from winning. He does know baseball, but he never won when he was in baseball. So it's not like you can say this guy won 4 World Series and now he's back in his spot. No, he was a middling general manager who, if you look at his career record, is right around 500. Mm-hmm. He had a couple of teams make the postseason. He rose to fame because he was a part of one of the most farcical movies ever made in Moneyball.
Yeah, well,
Moneyball cracked me up. When I watched Moneyball with one of our producers at ESPN because we were gonna do a big thing on the movie, and I just when the credits rolled, I'm like, this was fiction. This was a
great movie though.
It was a great movie. Yeah. I loved the movie from an entertainment standpoint. Yeah. But when you watched it, they made you think that Scott Hatteberg was the hero of the A's and carried them to the playoff. No. He had a big hit, but he was what we thought he was.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Did they ever mention Miguel Tejada in the movie?
They showed him once.
They showed his jersey on the back.
No, they actually showed the real Miguel Tejada once in like a scene where they were showing the team play.
Yeah, and guess what?
They never mentioned him.
He was an MVP.
They mentioned Eric Chavez one time.
What about the starting pitchers?
The 3 aces
who were
never
unbelievable, 20-game winners.
Never even mentioned.
Never mentioned.
No, it's just crazy.
So what they made, this is why that movie was so popular. That movie was so popular because it crossed into first of all, they got Brad Pitt in it. So now women are going to go see it.
Yeah.
A lot of women saw that movie. I watched it again with my wife, and you know what she said? And when it was over, I didn't poison the soup at all. I didn't tell her that it was a joke and that it was one of the worst movies factually ever made. I told her when it was all I said, "What'd you think?" She goes, "Man, what a story. That's a story everybody can cheer about." It's like they kind of reinvented the game, and they did it with a guy that nobody heard of at first base, and he was kind of a middling guy, but he walked a lot. He had a good eye at home plate. Like they kind of figured a new way to peel the potato. And I'm just going, yeah, but can I tell you some things that they didn't tell you in the movie that will change your opinion? She's like, yeah. I said, they had 3 of the best pitchers in baseball. They had a shortstop who was an MVP. And Scott Hedberg was, he was mad before. Now, they used the Hollywood music and build up of the big moment. And, oh, my God, he came through. And then, ultimately, they didn't win anything. They made the playoffs. And they overachieved. And they were on the cutting edge, the front edge of the analytic wave. And they did change baseball.
Absolutely. And we know now that a lot of the newer statistics are a more accurate definer of how good a player
1,000%. And what they were relying on in that movie, analytics has since kind of said, not that big of a deal. You know, we have since said the numbers that like OPS and how much you walk and your eye at the plate, all very important stuff. But now, what's everybody talking about now? Launch angle. They're talking about exit velocity. They're talking about all these different forms of analytics.
Yeah, OPS is still getting talked about.
OPS is still big. Yeah. You know that? No, and listen, that was the big one that came out of that. But my point to all of this was, at the end of the movie, this was my favorite part. Although Paul DePodesta and the Billy Beane and the Oakland A's never managed to win a World Series employing Moneyball, Theo Epstein and the Boston Red Sox, just a few years later, employing the same tactics, won the World Series, breaking this long drought. So that led all of the casual fans to go, "Oh my God, it works!" Right? No,
they ignored the payroll.
What they didn't tell us was, they had a $200 million payroll.
Right.
So they bought that championship with great players employing analytics. Yeah. So the whole Moneyball movie, trash to me. The whole Paul DePodesta is a god, trash to me. The whole idea that you would hire a genius, which he wasn't, from one sport and think that he can become a genius in another sport is absolutely the most dumbass thing I've ever seen an owner do in the history of owners. And Jerry Jones has done a lot of dumb things. Yes. But that move, and by the way, then you don't have the vision to realize as you're changing regimes over and over and over again, you keep one guy, the baseball guy. The football guys come and go. GMs, head coaches, let's keep the baseball guy. He was in Moneyball. That was a great movie. Jimmy bought the movie too.
He did.
So
is it the movie you don't like, or just
it's the movie?
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out a couple
just
things
making
here.
Sure.
But it's the seedlings that the movie dropped. That the Paul DePodesta's a genius. No, he's not. Yeah. He wasn't in baseball, and he certainly isn't in football. He doesn't live here. He's not invested. He's the man behind the curtain. No one even knows what he does. Go ask someone at the Browns, what does Paul DePodesta do? Who is the final voice in the organization? I don't know.
You know why I'm laughing? Because every time Paul DePodesta comes up, he gets pissed off.
Listen, because he is the reason we've had a decade of trash.
He said it ain't Andrew Berry, it's him.
It is him.
I get it.
Because you know what? Andrew Berry didn't get a fair shake. Yeah. For all we know, Andrew Berry said, no, we can't draft this guy. And Paul DePodesta said, oh, no, I got a formula right here. This is the way to do it.
I don't buy that, but and I get what you're saying. It's all fair criticism. But what about, so why do you think ultimately
here's why I think,
or the Browns would win?
Yeah, you said the Browns would win the Super Bowl.
Paul Dolan doesn't spend money because he doesn't make money. His team doesn't make money. Baseball and their revenue sharing is in another world. That's why you have
spend more than he does.
Of course. Now listen, this is going to make it sound like I'm giving him a pass. I'm not. I just beat him up, and I'm going to continue to beat him up. What I'm saying is, Paul was a lawyer. Larry was these guys got their money from being lawyers.
Yeah.
They're not independently wealthy. They're not oil men like Jerry Jones or truck stop guys like Jimmy Haslam. They're just, hey, I'm a big baseball fan. I'd love to, scrounge up a couple of million and invest in a ball club. And that's what they did. So because he's not bringing money in like the NFL teams do, he can only spend what he has. When I tell you that during COVID, I don't know this for sure. No one's ever told me. Just what I witnessed, this guy was operating month to month financially. He was like, he didn't have a big cash reserve. I'd heard stories that the commissioner at Major League Baseball and others at Major League Baseball were disappointed in not just the Guardians, but some other small market teams that didn't have an emergency reserve fund that they all want their teams to keep in case a pandemic that no one sees coming hits the league and cripples it. So that took all of the life out of the sails of Dolan. What did he do right after that? He sold the team. He's still the owner for now, but he made the deal to let's get removed from COVID. The new owner will take over a little bit more every year until he's the primary owner. Paul found out that it's nice owning a baseball team, but he doesn't have the money to own a baseball team. So he just spends what he's able to bring in through his smaller than average TV contract and his smaller than average gate. Because both it's dual revenue source. Income from your TV deals and income from your attendance. And they're well below average in both. That's why they're well below average in spending. In the NFL, their pie gets cut 32 ways. First of all, everybody sells out everything, so that's even. The national contracts, what's the number? I'm going to just for fun here. I'm going to say it's not, but I'm going to say it's $32 billion. Oh, $32 billion divided by 32, you get $1 billion, you get $1 billion, you get $1 billion. Everybody gets $1 billion. That's why there's spending caps. Which team has spent more money in the last 5 years than any team in pro football?
The Browns.
Which team has fewer wins than any other team in pro football?
The Browns.
Okay, I bring that up to say this. They are spending money, and they are losing. They're spending more than everybody else, and they're losing. So why do I think when they go to baseball and spend, they won't be the biggest spenders in baseball. No one's going to outspend the Dodgers and the Yankees. Let's just say that they're top 5 in spending. Well, right now they're number 1, but number 32 where it counts. So now in baseball, they're going to be number 5. Why do I think they're going to be number 1 where it counts? I don't trust the trust. I don't trust the decision makers over there, the J-Dubs, the Jimmy Haslams, the Paul DePodestas. You know who in this town I trust? Chernoff. Antonetti. Now,
I've lost some faith in them, to be honest.
You're not going to hit 1,000. Nobody does.
But, listen, you don't get to ride on your old years forever.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You're as good as your last group of players.
Yeah.
Jason brought up a great point when you weren't here. I think it was last week. He said, go back and read. When we had the best farm system in baseball 10 years ago, go back and read our top 15 prospects. He did. Bull, they're all gone.
Yeah.
None of them hit.
Well, we talked about it on the show, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even go back 3 years ago.
Yeah.
None of those guys have done anything.
None of them hit.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you, okay?
Yeah.
I am absolutely with you on this. You're only as good as your last crop, and their last crops have been bad. They sat on a decision with, is it Arias, is it Rocchio? They're too good. We're not going to move anybody. Guess what? None of them were any good. Now you're stuck with all of them.
We got nothing for Lindor.
We got nothing for Lindor.
Nothing.
Remember this comment
from
the owner? We're going to spend that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
Your payroll's gone down every year.
You got the biggest discount in the history of the sport on Jose Ramirez, and what have you done with it?
100%. Nobody gives that discount in pro sports.
No.
Nobody. He took $90 million less, a rumored $90 million less than what the Blue Jays were offering because he loves playing here. And you know how you know what they did to him? Slapped him in the face because they lied to him. They said that they were going to spend and they were going to build up a roster around him. They've given him nothing. When I watch their games right now, I'm like, well, only 8 more hitters till Jose comes up again.
I don't know why they'd ever pitch to him.
I don't either. I'd walk him every time. I'd walk him every time. He's the only guy that can hurt you.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Quan's a good base hitter.
Yeah.
He hits for average, but Manzardo strikes out too much.
Listen, I'll give you this. You make a convincing argument.
Okay.
I ultimately don't know if either team would win. But
I don't either. But here's what I say.
Yeah.
Give me the smart front office every time. You know who's got a smart front office right now? The Kansas City Chiefs. You know who had the smartest front office that I'd ever seen? The New England Patriots.
But the Eagles also have very
The Eagles
smart.
are brilliant right now. They've parlayed that into championships. The Guardians, for what they spend, are considered overachievers. The Browns, for what they spend, are not just underachievers. They're the most woeful underachiever in the NFL.
Maybe in the history
How
of the
do you
NFL.
spend the most but win the least?
It's crazy.
That's oxymoronic.
By
to
the
me.
way, I'll throw a grenade in here at the last second. I think the best would be is if Dan Gilbert owned the Guardians.
Listen, so
yeah,
my
facts,
last point on this was going to be,
Yeah.
now, all that we parsed that out, if Dan Gilbert owned the Browns and the Guardians,
Yeah.
I would predict a Super Bowl in 5 years for the Browns and a World Series in 5
Especially
years
now
for the
because
Guardians.
he's less of a meddler now.
He's a
so-
spender now.
Yeah.
He's a spender and he gets out of the way, which is the winning formula. And
Yeah.
but my point on Dolan is, it's not that Dolan's cheap. Dolan doesn't have it. Like, we keep
I think
beating
he
him
has.
up.
He could spend more than he's spending now.
Bull, liquid assets.
Yeah.
He's the poorest owner in pro sports.
Well, then immediately sell the team. It's
Well,
unfair to the fan base.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
He did. At least he sold the team, and there's a timeline for when he'll be out.
Seems like it's been forever.
I think it was 7 years. I got to go back and look at that story. I think when it happened
If
in
it's going to be
19
Blitzer's team, why isn't he spending money? Let's go.
Well, here's the thing. When you're a minority owner, you go to dinner and you pick up part of the check, but you really don't get to eat the meal.
No,
and
not at all.
That's the last thing in the world you want to be as a minority owner,
Right.
because you're not making any of the end decisions.
Why wouldn't he say to Dolan, hey, listen, let's go get some other players. I'll give you the money.
He might be, but
Yeah.
well, see, he's not going to pick up 100% of the bills. He's going to, if he owns 45% of the team, he's going to pay 45% of the expenses.
True. He wants to get
Here's
the credit
problem.
when he comes in.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And Paul Dolan can't spend 55% of the expenses. He doesn't have it.
Nah, well.
So I don't kill him for not I've met Paul Dolan.
Yeah.
He's a really good person. He's a good guy. Like, I wanted to not like him because I don't like the way he runs his team. But when I met him, I'm like, you can't help but like this guy. He's quiet. He's unassuming. He's humble. He's courteous. He's all the things that you want anybody to be. And I can't kill him because he doesn't have the money. If he ran the Browns, he would have the money because they are so much more cash fluid in the NFL than they are in the small markets.
couldn't afford
in
the
Major League
Browns.
Baseball.
So let me ask you this.
No,
because-
he couldn't.
Let me ask you this.
But this was a dream scenario.
Yeah.
Me and the guys had this conversation upstairs, and this may tie into this conversation or not. But when you say he don't have the money, what I wish would have happened 5 years ago, that the city officials and the owners of these teams came together and had a much better plan in place than what has taken place in the city of Cleveland
Plan
the
for
last
what?
couple years. I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
They should have had a plan to let the Browns go to Brook Park 5 years ago. Cool. Instead of renovating Progressive Field, you know what I would have done? I would have blew up the current First Energy Stadium. I would have built a retractable dome for the Cleveland Indians, Guardians to play at, right next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Science Center. And
Where
that
the current
solves-
football field is.
That solves two problems. Attendance issues in April and May for the Guardians when the weather is crazy here. Summertime, you get your retractable roof on the lake for your concerts and things like that. And it helps generate more revenue and more money. Everybody know the Guardians has always been good enough or competitive enough, right? But you talk about the attendance side of things. One of the reasons why attendance is down is because who in the hell is going to a Guardians game in April and May when the weather is
And
horrible?
even this year in June.
Or
Yeah.
even this year.
been
And so
horrible.
it's just like better,
I
proper
don't
planning.
hate that idea.
No, it's not.
Proper planning
Yeah.
a long time ago would have
Yeah.
would have set every franchise up to be in a better situation now.
I don't hate that.
I
Earl.
like that idea.
I don't hate that.
I do think attendance would be better if they had more of a commitment to signing long-term deals to their popular players.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yes, the weather factors in as well.
It does.
Certainly early in
It
the
kills
season.
our April and May games.
Yeah,
It kills them.
Yeah.
September it's still pretty good.
Yeah, right.
I've been to some games in October there where you need gloves and hand warmers.
Right.
But I don't really hate that idea. Quickly,
That would be
I know we
cool.
got to pivot because we've got some super
Yeah.
chats. Last point, and this is a little off topic, but it appears that Cleveland's City Council, Cuyahoga County Council now has finally gotten off the idea of trying to fight this move. The council, outside of Chris Ronayne, all got together and said, we've got to support this thing. Because, when the dam break is inevitable, you get the hell out of the way.
I hear you.
You don't stand there with an umbrella.
I
and
still
Chris
hate
Ronayne's
that any
trying-
state
Listen,
money is going to
Bull,
this.
no one hates it more than me. I can't
it's-
stand it.
it
I
is
hate the
what
way
it is.
all of that went down. It's seedy, it's dirty, it's
Right.
unethical, it's sick.
But there's no point in fighting.
You're not going to
Yeah.
stop it. So if you're Chris Ronayne, stop worrying about the girl that left you and start looking for the new girl. And here's the new girl. Implode that stadium because, by the way, Indian burial ground, former dump, whatever it was, it's cursed. It's cursed. What have they ever done or won there? Nothing. So it's cursed. Get rid of it. Put a 30,000-seat outdoor music venue right next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You serve a lot of masters with that. One of the reasons they take the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies and take it to L.A. and New York is because where are we going to put the shows?
Right, yeah.
If you've got a 30,000-seat venue built for concerts, they stay in Cleveland every year. We get that money every year.
Could it be a sports stadium too, where you can play soccer?
No, I don't want it to be a sports stadium, and here's why.
Yeah.
I want 60 outdoor music venues there a year, dates. So, and you can do that you've got 100 days between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Yeah.
You do 3 a week. You do shows. Right now, you know what we do? We get in our cars, we sit in traffic for 2 hours, and we go to Blossom to watch these outdoor shows.
That's true.
And then when we leave, there's a two-lane road, and we get home at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Put it right down there. All of the people that work downtown now can use the land bridge and walk right over and enjoy top-name musical acts.
More restaurants there, too.
And here's where I'm going with that. Yeah. In football, you get, I'm going to say 9 home dates a year. Some years you don't. But you get 9 days a year. And you get 60,000 fans there. But you know what those 60,000 fans do? They don't come down and eat dinner before or after the game. It's a Sunday. Yeah. They come down, they drink their own beer in the Muni lot or in tailgates. They go to the game, and they go home. The vast majority of them leave $0.00 in the city of Cleveland. I know that still, if 10,000 stick around and go to bars and eat, that's a big windfall for all those restaurants. But if instead of having 9 days of 60,000 fans, you have 30 days, or 60 days rather, of 30,000 fans, that doubles the amount of people. And it's not just on Sundays when people want to get in and get out. It's on a Tuesday night.
Right.
They want to eat dinner and go to have drinks afterwards. Yeah. Friday night, Saturday night. Forget the Browns. Let them go to Brook Park. I hope they have great success there.
And
build something there that people want to go to.
And redevelop that airport for more restaurants, more housing.
Bingo.
Have people build a nice boardwalk there on the lake.
And get the other side of the lake.
I think that Mayor Bibb, by the way, is the guy to do it.
Let's go.
I do. I think he's going to get it done.
Great conversations there. I got 3 super chats, and we got about 90 seconds.
All right,
so the first one comes from Dragon the Abandoner. I've heard more takes on Shedeur speeding tickets in 24 hours than I ever did on Baker resisting arrest or Manziel's drug use and reckless partying.
Well,
everybody knew what Manziel was.
Baker's resisting, though, was when he wasn't with Cleveland then.
It's just a ridiculous comment. We talked about Baker. We talked about Johnny Manziel's nonsense all the time.
Yeah. And on the Baker point, when that happened, Baker wasn't here.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. That's a ridiculous. You're in your silo. Go ahead.
Drama City TV Cleveland renewed their membership for 22 months. Everybody speeds every day. He just needs a driver. Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very fair.
James Mace Jr. says, Bull, you guys are both going to be right about the Pacers.
Oh. I said they were going to lose. Earl said they were going to win. So.
Yeah, you can't both be right.
I don't know who's right.
I've got OKC in 7. You do too.
Yeah.
You have Pacers.
I got the Pacers.
Yeah.
I think that's the first Pacers prediction on the show because everybody was OKC.
Pascal Siakam is going to have a big game.
God, he's good.
I'm rooting for the Pacers. Actually, I don't care who wins.
Yeah. All right, we're jumping over to WKYC. If you don't have it locally, the KYC Plus app. See you there. 30 fresh minutes.